So guys, it's David here and it's day 392. I hope you guys are doing well and like always are doing better than yesterday. Now, I was at a suit shop today collecting a pair of suit that I got custom tailored. Coming back to China, suits are somewhat on the cheaper side as I had assumed, so I went to this place, got it made to measure and it looks nice. But as I was trying on the suit, it looked great, right? I looked great, the fit was immaculate, but I was unhesitated to double check for any errors or perhaps things that I could get changed on the spot. And coming back home, I reopened the bag, took it out and wore it. And as I looked at it closely, I realized there are some things that I'm not quite happy with. And now I have a regret for not checking when I had the chance at the tailor shop. Now, a lot of us, I do believe, are so swift at making a decision and finalizing that decision specifically without double checking for errors and margins for improvement. We tend to be fooled or perhaps influenced by certain environments like the tailor shop, immaculate lighting, beautiful mirrors, full body mirrors, and the tailors were there. So in some way, I was timid at heart, so I didn't raise a voice. It is like going to a barber, you're getting your hair cut, and if something goes wrong, you are not gonna say anything, right? Now, there is nothing wrong to say something about things you are not happy with. There is nothing wrong with double checking things before you go back home, before you send out the email, before you do anything that you will later repent. You see, it is not wrong to double check our work. It is not wrong to double check anything before we start to approve it is as final. Because nobody is going to care more about you double checking the work than you thought they would. Nobody's going to be offended or criticized if you said, I don't like this thing specifically, right? Your barber may not be criticized if you don't like the cut, if you are reasonable with why you don't like the haircut. Likewise, if I had mentioned I don't like this specific detail, then my tailor will understand, right? Or this tailor will understand. And I did go back. And I did show my unhappiness. I did show the points of my discontent. And she understood and she explained to me that if I told her earlier before the suit was made, then maybe she could have did the alteration. And the alteration specifically, if you guys care, was the buttons on my cuffs were unusable, right? They were pretty much just for fashion, and that wasn't something I quite liked. But apparently this is how they make suits here in China, which I'm not sure if that's true or not. But always double check, because the times when I don't double check, which I know for sure is especially in a social setting, is that I am timid, guys. I am timid, and that is no doubt. It is my personality. I am introverted, and it is undoubtedly the truth, right? Obviously, I do things to improve. I do things to get outside of my comfort zone, but sometimes the default response is to keep quiet, avoid conflict, and just agree, even if you disagree. And certainly going back there today to show my discontent took some gut. Even though I spoke timidly, I spoke shyly, I spoke with no confidence and no boldness. And that is something I could work on. But going back there was a mistake on my part. Because if I did done the double checking, then perhaps there would be no such awkwardness. I'm not saying there is, but if you double check your work, guys, you tend to avoid a lot of errors on your part. You tend to avoid a lot of awkwardness. You tend to avoid a lot of errors. And there's so much things that we do on a day-to-day basis, whether work life or perhaps personal lives, that we cannot take back our actions, or we cannot take back our approval. For example, when you send that email to a potential prospect, you send that email. It's in their inbox, and even though you may think you have deleted the email, it's sent, right? It's sent. Likewise, you take a picture on social media, you were out clubbing, you were totally wasted. Take a picture, you later regret it. Well, guess what? It's on the web now, and therefore it is up there. We tend to do things without double checking, and a lot of the times we don't double check, and we tend to repent them the most. It takes no time, guys, to double check your work. It takes no time to really carefully analyze if you like something or not. Because if you don't like it and you don't double check it, then you are the one to lose out at the end. Your barber don't care, he's paid. My tailor in this point doesn't care, they're paid either way. But if you're unhappy with something, then you have to speak up and tell them that you are unhappy. Because if you are reasonable, and if you're not being an asshole to ask for something unreasonable, then they will understand you and they will even respect you for speaking out. Perhaps they did not even notice the marginal error, but you did. Therefore, you have corrected them in a way that they can improve on their skills. But if you don't speak up because you're timid, because you're shy, because you feel like you are going to create awkwardness, then you are going to pay for the price of not double checking, of not standing up to be bold, of not speaking up because you feel like it's the wrong thing to do. Guys, there is no such thing as a wrong thing to do, because a lot of the time, from my own experience, being an introvert, right, being shy and timid, we tend to make these false assumptions in our head that if we say certain things, then they are going to be wrong. But those certain things we avoid to say tend to be things that shields us from breaking outside of our shell. So, in retrospect, we don't break free from our own timidness because we have these false excuses that if we say something, then others are going to take it the wrong way. Let me tell you, nobody is going to take your thing the wrong way, because chances are whatever you're holding back from saying is just a default mechanism holding you back from being a better version of yourself. So don't let yourself stop you, guys. It truly is a you versus you battle. And if you cannot overcome yourself, then don't even hope to influence others, because it starts with you.